Ming-Sher-In was taken aback when he heard this. After a while, realization dawned on him. He exclaimed, "Victory is certain since Master is personally making a move." Since Lu Zhou had just lifted the witchcraft restriction on him, his faith and confidence in Lu Zhou were even higher than Lu Zhou himself. On the other hand, when Lu Yuana heard that Lu Zhou planned to go out, she was so happy that she began to clap her hands excitedly. She said, "Master, I want to go with you." Lu Zhou ignored little Yuana. Instead, he looked at Ming-Sher-In and said, "Guard the Black Knights well." "Yes, Master." Ming-Sher-In replied with a bow. "With third senior brother and I here, they won't be able to leave easily even if they sprout wings." After that, Lu Zhou turned to leave. However, he barely took 2 steps forward before he turned around and asked, "Is there any news about the traitors?" By traitors, he naturally meant old first, Yuzheng Hai, old second Yushangrong, and the others. Ming-Sher-In shook his head and said, "Recently I have not left Golden Court Mountain. I'm unaware of the affairs in the outside world." Lu Zhou nodded slightly. Since he defeated the people from a noble path twice, the traitors seemed to be keeping a low profile and had not made any moves. After I deal with the Fish Dragon Village's matter, I'll have to think of a way to deal with these traitors. After giving his instructions, Lu Zhou returned to the Evil Sky Pavilion to resume comprehending the heavenly writing. After he had perfectly undone the spell, his understanding of the heavenly writings seemed to have deepened. Lu Zhou brought out the heavenly writings interface. The content of the human scroll appeared before him. It seemed to be glowing. At this moment, the usually awkward and difficult script seemed much livelier. It was so much more comfortable and easier to read. Gain insight into origin and light. From power, the paths are opened. Giving rise to 10 skills of might, the wonderful journey is delightful. Lu Zhou read the lines out loud. Then he paused for a moment before he mumbled to himself, "The Brahmin lullaby was ineffective, and it can suppress witchcraft. Is the human scroll effective against cultivation methods that muddle the heart?" He continued reading. As expected, new content had appeared below. To gain the power of incorporeality so that we may visit many places without having to move, reaping many benefits. To gain the power to silence everything, to maintain and manifest samadhi, like light and shadow, permeating everywhere, while staying still in samadhi. Lu Zhou was completely engrossed in studying, losing track of time. The next morning, Lu Zhou felt extremely invigorated. After he closed the Heavenly Writings interface, he left the hidden chamber. Little Yuana was waiting for him in the great hall. Her eager expression told Lu Zhou that she wanted to go out as well. When she saw her master, she ran over and said, "Master, Master, I want to ride Witzard. I don't want buy-in." Lu Zhou shook his head. Childish. He wanted to reprimand her, but eventually decided to satisfy her whim. After all, he was old and could not endure a rocky journey. Both of them walked out of the Evil Sky Pavilion. Little Yuana flashed a grin at Ming-Sher-In, who had just arrived. Ming-Sher-In followed them outside the Great Hall. When they were outside, Witzard appeared on a cloud from Golden Court Mountain's forest. When he saw the appearance of the legendary mount, Ming-Sher-In was so envious that his eyeballs nearly dropped out from their sockets. If he could have a mount like this, he was willing to endure beatings every day. "Master, I want to sit up front." Little Yuana pointed naughtily at the front part of Witzard's back. Lu Zhou said nothing. Witzard's back was wide, and the rider would have a clear view of the scenery in front. Its flight was extremely steady, so it would not interrupt one from enjoying the scenery. When the two of them eased themselves on its back, Witzard gave a low growl before it launched itself into the air and disappeared into horizons. Ming-Sher-In ran after them and searched the skies, but Witzard could no longer be seen. While Witzard flew in the sky, Lu Zhou inspected the system dashboard. He had 2,210 merit points left. He did not buy any item cards and decided he would only buy them based on the situation he was in when he needed them. For instance, if he was in a dangerous situation that he could not defuse, he could pick 4 impeccable cards. If he had enough time, he would leave the area on Witzard's back. 2 hours later, Witzard began slowing down and descended from the sky. "Master, Are we there already? Little Yuan seemed reluctant to alight from Witzard's back. Zhou ignored her and continued to urge Witzard to land. Little Yuan had no choice but to dismount once they landed. Zhou recalled Witzard and surveyed his surroundings. He said, "We're close to Measure Heaven River. Witzard will attract too much attention. Master, since you're so powerful, you can just make your way there and kill all of them, right?" Little Yuan asked in confusion. "Are you talking back to your master?" Zhou said in a chiding tone. The master's words were law after all. Both of them were about to rest when Little Yuan suddenly said, "Master, someone's approaching us." She proved to be useful at this moment. Soon enough, several cultivators could be seen flying above the forest on flying swords. "Ji Tiandao's coming for us. Run. The villains of the evil sky pavilion are here. Hurry." Whoosh! Whoosh! The cultivators flew past Zhou's and Liu Yuan's heads in broad daylight. When a Brahmin C8 Meridian's realm cultivator flew past them, he good-naturedly advised them, "Old man, quickly run. The old villain Ji Tiandao is coming. Are you sick of living?" Whoosh! The cultivators flew at speed and disappeared into the forest. Little Yuan pouted and asked skeptically, "Master, when did you chase them?" Zhou's expression was indifferent. "Why would I do something so meaningless? They're just a group of small fries." He stroked his beard, and it did not take long before he forgot about them. After the cultivators went away, their surroundings fell silent. Little Yuan spoke at this moment. "Master, why don't we catch up with them and kill them?" "Why?" Zhou asked. "They were cursing and accusing you of something you didn't do. We have to go and kill them." "You can't be wrongly accused for nothing," Little Yuan said righteously. "I'm rendered speechless by her logic." Zhou thought nothing of Little Yuan words. He shook his head and said, "I think they're cursing someone else." "Who?" At this moment, approaching footsteps could be heard, accompanied by slight vibrations on the ground. When they looked toward the source of noises, they saw a group of people coming toward them at a pace that was neither fast nor slow. They were riding on an epic mount. Mounts were far more valuable than flying chariots. Flying chariots were only difficult to make, but any cultivator with the right materials and formations could activate it. Mounts were rare to begin with. They were difficult to catch and even more difficult to tame. A huge mount emerged slowly out of the forest. Its body resembled a castle wall, while its legs were like stone pillars. This was the epic mount, Elephant King. It was hardy and had strong defenses. It could maneuver rugged mountain paths and cross raging rivers. The only thing it could not do was fly. Elephant King was carrying a chariot on its back. The chariot was as wide as its shoulders. It was simple but extravagant at the same time. "Elephant King," Little Yuan mumbled. 3 cultivators hovered on Elephant King's sides. There were 1 female and 2 male cultivators. They moved out of the forest at a speed that was neither fast nor slow. Elephant King covered several meters in a single stride. Every time it took a step forward, a loud thud could be heard. Zhou motioned to Little Yuan to leave with him. As the saying went, river water does not interfere with well water. Oh! Little Yuan followed her master obediently. They made their way to the fish dragon village. However, they had barely taken a few steps forward when the young girl, who hovered next to Elephant King, approached them on a flying sword. She stood on her flying sword as she said rudely, "Hey!" Seeing that the young girl was only about the same age as her, Little Yuan was angered by the young girl's audacity for blocking their path. She responded equally as rudely, "Hey, what? Get out of the way." Zhou stroked his beard and looked at the young girl indifferently. A divine court realm cultivator. She seems talented, but she's a far cry from Yuan. It's not worth it for me to waste my item cards on this group of useless cultivators. The girl on the flying sword placed one hand on her waist as she pointed at Little Yuan. She announced arrogantly, "I'm the 9th disciple of the Evil Sky Pavilion. C.I. Yuan, I have a question for you. Did you see 10 cultivators running this way?" Little Yuan was stunned. Her temper flared, and she no longer had the mood to listen to the young girl's words. "You dare impersonate me? I can't take this." She pushed herself off the ground and launched herself at the girl like a fired arrow. Bang! 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 Two of them began fighting furiously. In terms of physical powers, Little Yuaner's Supreme Purity Jade Slip was peerless. The fake did not expect Little Yuaner to attack her so suddenly, so she was completely caught off guard and was forced into retreating. Bang! 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 Little Yuaner used her fists and legs. She moved at lightning speed as she bore down on her opponent. This little girl's temper is still fiery. Zhou glanced at Elephant King. The people there did not seem like they planned to make a move. The cultivator who was fighting with Little Yuaner was in the divine court realm. Little Yuaner was more than capable of dealing with a few of these kinds of opponents. However, the person on Elephant King must possess the cultivation base in the nascent divinity tribulation realm. At least, if that person made a move, Little Yuaner would have no hope of winning. However, that person did not seem interested in making a move, only looking on curiously. That person's attention was focused on Little Yuaner. Bang! 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 While Zhou was calculating in his mind, Little Yuaner shot up and landed a series of kicks, causing the young girl to fall. Bang! When the fake crashed onto the ground, she continued rolling on her back. She looked battered. Just when the fake was planning on getting up for another round, a low voice drawled, "Stand back!" The voice came from the person on Elephant King's back. Zhou looked at that person. An old man with white hair and a white beard emerged from the chariot on Elephant King's back. His eyes were deep and his face was full of wrinkles. At a glance, he truly resembled Ji Tiandao when Zhou had just transmigrated here. However, since Zhou had used his reversal card, his outer appearance had changed a lot. For this reason, there was a stark difference between his and this old man's appearances. Name, Ding Fancio. Race, human. Realm, nascent divinity tribulation realm. Ding Fancio stood with one hand on his back. He had a pleased expression on his face as he looked at Little Yuaner. Then he shifted his gaze to Zhou and asked, "You're not afraid of me?" Zhou replied indifferently, "Why should I be afraid?" Ding Fancio pointed at Little Yuaner and said, "I'm in a good mood today. If this were any other day, I would have punished you for being rude." Little Yuaner could not stifle her laughter. She descended from the air and moved to Zhou's side. She pointed at Ding Fancio, who stood on Elephant King, and said, "Old man, do you know who this person is?" Her gaze was furious, as though it was saying, "My master will show you the consequences of impersonating him." Without waiting for Zhou to speak, Ding Fancio looked at Little Yuaner again. A hint of glee flashed in his eyes, as though he had just spotted a prey. However, his expression was calm as he said, "Little girl, you're highly talented. It's rare for someone as young as you to reach the divine court realm." Little Yuaner moved closer to Zhou. She stuck her tongue out at the girl she defeated. Zhou's expression remained calm, and he made no reply. Ding Fancio was not angered. Instead, he regarded Zhou indifferently and said, "I'm sure you've heard of my mighty name, old householder." Zhou stroked his beard and said without any inflection in his tone, "I've been living in the mountains for a long time. I'm afraid I don't know much about the outside world." The other two cultivators beside Ding Fancio seemed angered by these words. Ding Fancio waved his hand dismissively and said, "There's no need to worry. I'll tell you all about myself." After that, he said, "Please, get on the chariot." It was clear he was threatening them. A shocked expression could be seen on the faces of Ding Fancio's disciples. They could not understand their master's actions. However, they did not hesitate as they flew toward Zhou and Little Yuaner. Zhou thought to himself, "What are they doing near the Measure Heaven River?" This Ding Fancio's cultivation base is in the nascent divinity tribulation realm. He uses my name and isn't afraid of being hunted down by the people from a noble path. There must be more than meets the eyes with this person. However, nobody in this world could threaten or scare Zhou, not even Ding Fancio. Zhou asked, "Are you going to measure Heaven River?" As he spoke, an item card that was faintly glowing appeared in his hand. Everyone else was unaware of this. They did not even sense any fluctuation in the aura.